my friends, today we're going to make a quick anniversary card. So let's get started. The anniversary I'm going to, their theme colors, this light green with white, so that's where I got the inspiration for this card. And so I'm going to use this older stamp set from Stampin' Up. It's probably back from 2007, and it's called Botanical Blooms. It's a two-step stamping set where you have a background and an outline. So I'm using this leaf image here. And so I'm going to first stamp the background, and I'm going to use Certainly Celery. Now this is a Lucky Limeade cardstock, so the colors won't match exactly, but I wanted a subtle tone-on-tone look because I'm going to be embossing the outline with white. So I'm just going to be going around the edge of this cardstock at varying heights, just to add some interest around this card. So I did a little prep. I have my Stamp-A-Majig image sheet here, and I already stamped this outline in a dark color so I could see it. And I'm going to now use my Versamark ink so that I could white emboss this image. So I'm going to first use my embossing buddy so that I don't get embossing powder where I don't want it. I'm just going to rub that along this entire cardstock. And now I'm going to take my Versamark ink pad, which is a clear, sticky ink. So you won't see it on camera, but what I'm going to do is line up my outline with that background leaves that I stamped, line up my jig, and then stamp my image right on top. Now again, you won't see this on camera, but there's a clear outline. So I'm going to continue to do that for not all of them, but some of the ones that I want to be dominant and be white embossed. Now that I have that stamped with the Versamark, I'm going to take my white embossing powder and I'm going to pour it over what I just stamped. So now that that's heat embossed, you can see the white on top of that stamped image in the background. Looks really pretty. And what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to add a few more of those leaves just to fill in some of the blanks. So I'm going to take the Certainly Celery again and just ink this up and just stamp randomly, but to just fill in some of the areas where it's a little bit blank. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment in the middle here, and again I'm going to heat emboss that in white, and I'm using this set, this stamp that says Happy Anniversary, and it's from Stampin' Up set A Word For You, and I'm just going to use the words Happy Anniversary. So I have that, I use my marker to color it in and put it on my Stamp-A-Majig sheet, and to heat emboss this area I'm just going to use my Versamarker. And I'm going to just color over that image that I want to heat emboss and stamp that. So let me get my powder here ready. So I'm going to line this up in the center. I'm using my grid pattern on my paper to help me line it up. Okay, that looks about right. Take my jig, put it in place. Now I'm going to take my marker with the brush tip and I'm going to brush right over the words that I want to emboss. So just the words Happy Anniversary. I didn't want the bottom portion. Sorry about my dog barking there in the background. So I'm just going to get this nice and moist and completely covered, and then move my imaging sheet and stamp straight down. Okay, and now I'm just going to take my white powder again and pour it over. Flick off the excess, and now I'm just going to heat emboss that. So now we have this as our card front, all embossed. Now I'm taking some Whisper White Organdy ribbon from Stampin' Up, and I'm just going to tie a bow at the top. So that's why I left this top portion somewhat blank, because I knew I was going to be adding this ribbon. So I'm going to tie a bow as best as I can up here near the top. Now that I have my bow tied, I'm going to use a mini glue dot to hold that in place, and I just use my finger to peel up the dot and place it behind my ribbon and press it down. That helps hold this ribbon in place so it won't move. So I'm just going to fluff up my bows here a little bit, a little more fluffy. Okay, and now I'm going to stick this down to my card front, which is the standard A2 card size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And this was cut to 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's slightly smaller, so I get that white border. And I'm going to use some dimensional adhesive. This is on a strip just because it's a large panel. I like to use this rather than the little dimensionals so that I get a little bit more coverage. So I'm just going to trim this down and place it here on my card front. Try to get equal borders on all 4 sides so it looks balanced. Okay, and then I wanted to add a little bit of bling, so I'm thinking of adding some pearls, and this is from Stampin' Up, and I really like these because you get some really tiny pearls. So they don't distract too much, but they do add that little extra touch of elegance. So I'm just taking these smallest ones, using my scissors as a pointer to help pick it up and place them. So I hope you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm just taking my scissors, I'm sliding it underneath the pearl to pick up the adhesive and sticking it to my scissors. And now I can place it onto my card front. So I think I'm going to put this one right, larger one here. And I think I'll put one on this side just to balance that out. Make the sentiment stand out a little bit more. After I finished the outside, I was thinking I would add something to the inside as well. So what I'm going to do is take those 2 stamped images already that I used on the front, and I'm going to use generation stamping, meaning I'm going to ink this up in the Certainly Celery, this background image. I'm going to stamp it on my scratch paper and then stamp it onto my card to get a lighter color. And I'm just going to do that again, stamp on my scratch paper and then stamp on my card. And one more time, ink it up, stamp on the scratch paper and stamp on the card. And then I'm going to take the outline and I'm just going to stamp it full strength right atop that background image without stamping it off so that I get that darker color. And I'm not going to use my Stamp-A-Majig, I'm just going to eyeball it so that I get a little bit of the messy look. So I'm just going to line it up a little bit, tilting my head to look, to get it close, and I'm actually doing pretty good without a jig. And that just adds a nice little feature to the inside of the card. And I'm going to do that same thing on the envelope. So here's the envelope. I'm going to do that here probably in the left corner. So I'm going to do the same thing, stamp the background off and on, ink it up, stamp it off and then on, and one more time, get it inked up, stamp on my scratch paper, and then stamp it onto the envelope. Whoop. And then the outline, I got a little bit of ink on there because of that, it's alright. I think I'll just stamp more of these. So I'm going to line these up. And because I have that little goof there from my stamp rolling around, I'll just stamp a couple more to help hide that. So I'll use my background, go up where that little goof was, just to help hide it. My little rolling stamp here. There we go. So now I have a matching envelope with my card and the inside. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.